Z, Mr. Clerk. Yeah, we're going to go right.
R9D is requesting to overturn the September 9th, 2014 decision made by the HPB to create additional historic district requested by Commissioner
Right
Whitehorn.
now. We're going to go back to it. That's fine. We'll do it a little bit. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I brought this up yesterday. For a number of months, the Land Use Committee, as well as several of us, have been involved in trying to come up with what is the right potential historic district in North Beach. At the last Land Use Committee, where we talked holistically about all of the North Beach initiatives, we talked about, and I'm going to borrow Ricky Ariola's words because they're a little more eloquent than mine, a more comprehensive plan, an integral part of a more elegant plan, and to reconcile the initiatives and the challenges, which include floodplain issues, companion ordinance required to help support commercial usage of some of the area, looking at what the actual stock of historic buildings is and the condition that they're in, looking at challenges such as potential ownership issues like we have had on Ocean Terrace, and not the least of which is consulting with Jeff Orrs that we pay to help us with a plan for economic development in North Beach, which, as you heard Commissioner Tobin say today, may in fact involve rethinking certain areas. So it's really not what I had hoped. I had hoped we could all work lock and step together to come up with the right decision, but yesterday the Historic Preservation Board decided that they didn't want to work with the Commission, the Land Use Committee, and everybody who's been working on this collectively, including and especially our Blue Ribbon Task Force that's been meeting every single week for months and has touched this issue along with others. And so I ask that we overturn the decision, we go back to the table, we come up with a more comprehensive and elegant plan, I like those words, and that we do this the right way so that we're all ready with the proper outreach to the community. I don't want anyone to think what I'm doing today means that we don't support historic. What we support is doing this in a manner that's collective and better thought out. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White.
Excuse me, I take issue with this. I take issue with this, and I want this on the record.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Commissioners, discussion items? This is historic preservation
Sure.
in North Beach. I mean, let me just give you my thoughts. I mean, I am very much in favor of figuring out, as Ricky Ariola said, an elegant plan for North Beach with historic preservation. I think it's incredibly important. I think what we've seen in Miami Beach, which is one of the largest historic zoned areas probably in the country, has shown how successful historic preservation can make a city. And our Art Deco district is a shining example of that nationwide and worldwide. And I think that I maybe speak for most of the commissioners that we all believe that the MIMO designs in North Beach are tremendous and they need to be preserved, and we need to come up with a great plan to make sure that we have a historic designation, but it also works with the economic growth of the area. And I believe that's going to require some real study, some real input, bringing in some of our great preservationists, whether it's Joe or Nancy or Daniel. I think a lot of them all together in a committee to figure out what works for North Beach, what works for the city. And I think I echo Commissioner Whitehorn's comments that to just throw a broad blanket without discussing it, analyzing it, and reviewing it, I think it's a little bit too fast of an approach. But I think it's something that we all know that we need to immediately move on, but we need to do it in a way that everyone's involved, and it requires a lot more study, I believe. Commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Malikoff?
I served on the Historic Preservation Board many years ago, and on the Planning Board when Altos Del Mar was placed into the Historic District. I think it's important that North Beach, many buildings in North Beach are saved and preserved as part of a historic district. However, when Land Use looked at this item, we suggested that the parameters be changed, that they were delineated better, and just contain buildings that are more historic than the very broad-based National Register. That was done. But what was also done was a request to delay it until December, until Alan Schulman had completed his study in North Beach and a master plan was done, and the panel had suggested that historic preservation, they had mandated that historic preservation should be a major component, that they requested the Historic Preservation Board delay consideration of the designation as a historic district for these two areas to give the city time to complete the master plan with the strong consideration for historic preservation. It's not that I don't think we should have these new historic districts. I think we should, and I think that the areas that have been designated do make sense. I just think it's premature. I think we should wait till we get the reports from Alan Schulman and from whoever's doing the master plan until we then decide whether this makes sense or not. I just think the timing, I agree that the Historic Preservation Board reviewed it carefully, and I know they did their work, but I think it's just premature by a few months.
Commissioner Wolfson, you'd like to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to, Raul, if you could just kind of go through where we are in the process of this. So yesterday, the HPB made a decision to declare this a historic district.
That's
Am I correct? And
That's
so
correct.
the law says that at this point it comes to us.
That's correct.
Goes to planning first.
It goes to planning first, and then it comes to.
No, it comes, the zoning designation is subject to final commission approval.
Okay.
So what happens now is after the HPB board recommended to designate the district yesterday, I believe they also directed the planning department to prepare a report. So within 60 days of the vote of the HP to direct the planning department to prepare the report, the city commission actually, prior to receiving the report, can take action by 5/7 vote to either deny, approve, or modify the district.
Okay, so this is before us in an absolutely legal posture.
That's correct. That's
What we're
correct.
doing right now is
You could take action today if you wanted to.
basically acting within the 60 days so that they don't go prepare a report that we're going to essentially say no.
That's right.
anyway. So, and then this gets generated by what? Is this just a discussion item that was put on HPB by HPB brings it
That was-
up?
that was
They
my-
have the wherewithal to do this on their own since they're our historic preservation
Yes,
board. We
the
want them
HB
looking
board
at
is
these
the one
issues and.
who initiated this.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. I mean, the concerns, I mean, my concerns are just that, you know, the historic integrity of all our different districts is so different. I mean, everything is so different, and, you know, I see some of these buildings in these areas definitely have historic character and are important, but at the same time, you know, you have buildings that you know I think could use raising and new construction. But the biggest problem in North Beach is very succinctly, the biggest problem right now though is that the market is in a place where the prices for these properties are so ridiculously high and they're not moving and people aren't repositioning them and trying to rehabilitate them because it's just that people are overvaluing the properties right now. So there's no real movement and regeneration of this going on because for the prices people would pay, it wouldn't pay to buy it, tear it down, and rebuild anyway. So it's kind of like the emotional positive feeling up there is its own worst enemy because the prices are so bizarre at this point. You see stuff moving slower and slower.
Okay.
Anyway, so
Mayor?
Thank you, Commissioner.
but this would I think this wouldn't help things.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Steinberg?
You know, I agree with what you said, Mayor, what Commissioner Malakoff said, and what Commissioner Whitehorn so eloquently pointed out. That being said, and I am a stickler for process. That being said, I have not had a chance to review the HPB board process yesterday. And so for me today, I don't feel comfortable voting on something I wasn't able to watch. So I cannot today, for me, support overturning anything before I've had the opportunity. This just happened yesterday to actually see it. So we have 60 days. If you want to take action today, that's fine. But just so you know where I'm at.
Okay.
Thank you.
The other thing I
And I
want,
might agree completely. You know, it may not
Maybe
be
we do
after
the
watching
same
it, I
thing.
may have a
She
different
wants
feeling, but I
to
just
wait
need to watch it.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Attorney? Yes.
the other thing I wanted to advise the commission, just in follow-up to Commissioner Wolfson's question, is that there is zoning in progress now.
Unless we overturn it.
That's right.
Right, that's the reason why, and I think what I'm saying, and I think commissioners are saying, is we want a historic district, but we need to study it, we need to understand it, and if we don't, whether we do it next week or we do it this week,
Okay.
we want to really put this together properly. I'd rather not be fast, I'd rather be right with this process.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like
Yeah.
to move the item.
What part of North Beach are they proposing to be a historic district?
There's a map.
I don't have any, in my agenda.
It's right
I just
here.
I don't
It's-
have
It's
a,
not in the agenda,
Where's the map?
right here. And there's two. I'm going to move the item if I can get a second.
Hold on. Wait.
Let them take a minute to look at it.
The west lot? These are the west lots.
So-
Second.
this is north of, is this north of 71st Street? Is that
Yeah.
what this boundary is?
Yes.
Yes.
So in this drawing, Tom, where's the, like the church at 71st, like that, sort of? Just, you could just, is there an aerial that everybody can see what we're talking about here?
This is the 72nd Street parking lot. This is the North Shore Youth Center. And so it's basically north of there up to 7.
Is this the tennis courts? Okay, this whole area here.
There's a motion and a second.
You have a second?
There's a second.
I want to just make sure.
I get it. I mean, I get it. I mean, some of these buildings are pretty cool. I do get it, but I just,
The ones on the Harding, I think, are pretty.
No, I think we believe they're really cool. I think we
I
want to
don't-
protect so many of them. I think we want to protect
I think,
the right ones.
if I may, Mr. Mayor, just to kind of sum it up, I think just to combine Commissioner Malakoff, Commissioner Whitehorn, and the mayor's sentiments, that we've spent all this time and energy on blue ribbon panels and master planning, and even the Land Use Committee addressed all of this and asked for there to be a delay on these decisions till the end of the year, so a comprehensive
That's it.
plan can be put together.
That's it.
And that's all the
That's
rest.
all-
We're not
that's all
saying,
we're asking
it may be that in December, we approve the same exact
Right.
situation. It's just, it's the timing of it, I think, that everybody's concerned about, and having it come from HPV, kind of ignoring what happened in land use and all the other committees.
If I can put on the record, one of the other issues is we have a lot of other North Beach initiatives, and to not reconcile them all, I'm afraid, is just a mistake. And we may end up in the same place, but let's have a chance to reconcile all the initiatives and do it thoughtfully and elegantly, which is such a wonderful way to put it.
And the opposition to this is saying that if we don't do zoning in progress, that we're going to lose some buildings between now and the time that we.
You got to remember, that whole strip,
now.
that whole strip
nobody's
going
going to
north.
demolish the.
Commissioner
Hold on.
Not right now.
Tobin?
Yes.
That whole strip going north, a good majority of that is city-owned property and empty lots.
No, I know. I'm
And-
not worried about the north lots that the city owns. We have control over whether we
that.
permit those.
You sure? Where's my map?
Okay. We have a
I'm
second?
just wondering what the argument is saying that we ought to keep this in place.
Keep what in place?
Keep the zoning in progress. I would imagine the zoning in progress, the HPB is saying if we don't have zoning in progress between now and whenever, somebody can put in for a demo permit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You have a second? Okay.
The only thing I'd ask is, I mean, maybe, like the other item, we had moved off 7 days because, you know, I had wanted to read it. Maybe if Commissioner, you know, wanted to read it. I don't know. If this is important to
Let's
get
take
it
a
done
vote.
today,
You have a second? All right, let's take a vote. Is it a roll call?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Well, does it require 5/7?
Yes, it does.
But it's not a roll call?
Hey,
It's
Tom,
not. Do you want me to make it a roll call?
can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Tom, is there a half a dozen buildings or a dozen buildings that we can identify that are, I know there's some buildings on, heading southbound across the street from Lou's Beer Garden. I guess that's, what, Harding?
Yes.
I mean, there are some unusual and iconic buildings. I can think of a half a dozen of them.
Yes.
Most of them from Carlisle and Dickens. I mean, there's some horrendous buildings with deferred maintenance in Section 8, and, I mean, there's so much horrendous stuff, and it needs to be
Well,
created.
that was everything that was going to be addressed during the master planning and land use.
That's what we're trying to do, Ed. We're trying not to necessarily want to figure out a
don't care.
a proper economic plan that makes sense, that we preserve the right buildings, we preserve the districts.
And in the interim, if any of those half a dozen or a dozen iconic buildings get knocked down, we just figure.
Well, they're not going to get knocked down.
Going to get knocked down because they're
You'd have to
just,
go
like I
before
said,
the-
bizarre prices. They're
Well, no,
really
if there's
overpriced.
no, if there's no interim procedures in place, then they could come in for a demolition permit for those.
Just, I won't worry about that. They're not going anywhere. These things are overpriced. They're not, nobody's going to tear them down.
Let's do a roll call.
Mr. Mayor?
We can move on.
If I can,
Yeah,
before you
Gary?
vote, just one clarification. Just to clarify the vote that's being taken, the question is whether it's to kill the district or to reverse the decision yesterday ordering the preparation of a designation report which puts all of these protections in place.
I think,
The-
Gary, the motion on the floor is the motion to deny the request for designation.
Right. And that we want to bring it back with a full plan integrated with our master plan, with a full comprehensive plan that we'll do as fast as we possibly can do. I think that's the objective, everybody here.
If you put a deadline on it, I'd be more apt to,
There you go.
you get it done by December? Tom?
Tom, can we do that by December?
We have, we've engaged Schulman, who is going to be presenting a thorough massing study to the Land Use Committee on October 1. And so we'll have a pretty good idea, both on Ocean Terrace and the 71st Street area, how that area is going to
Okay.
shape up. So
Great.
if this process was to be reinitiated, it could be reinitiated pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly. Very good. I'm sure it won't be a problem to reinitiate it. No. Okay, can we do a roll call?
Yes, sir. So the motion is to deny the designation and bring back at the December meeting.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whitehorn, seconded by Commissioner Grieco. Commissioner Whitehorn.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolfson.
Yes.
Commissioner Malakoff.
Yes.
Commissioner Tobin.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grieco.
Yes.
Commissioner Steinberg.
No, for the reasons I stated earlier. I'd like to review the tape from
Okay.
yesterday. Thank you.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item to be brought back at the December meeting.
Thank you. Okay. We have exactly